I've been working as a nurse at St. Michael's Hospital for about 5 years now. It's a large, old building with a reputation for being one of the best in the state. But like any old hospital, it has its quirks and secrets. One of the things that always caught my attention was the forbidden floor in the basement. It was never talked about, and the elevators didn't even have a button for it. The only way to access it was through a stairwell at the very end of the basement. And even that was locked behind a heavy metal door with a sign that read, "Authorized personnel only." I had always been curious, but I never thought much of it, assuming it was just some old, abandoned ward or storage area. That was until last night. I was working the graveyard shift, and one of my patients, an old man named Mr. Jenkins, started coding. I called a code blue, and the whole team rushed to his room. In the chaos, I couldn't find the doctor, so I decided to look for him on the floors below. As I was running down the stairs, I stumbled upon the door to the forbidden floor. It was slightly ajar. I pushed it open, and a musty smell hit me like a ton of bricks. The air was thick with the scent of decay and rot. I fumbled for my phone to use as a flashlight and started making my way down the stairs. The steps creaked beneath my feet, and the smell got worse with each step. At the bottom, I found myself in a long, dark corridor lined with old hospital rooms. The walls were covered in peeling paint, and the floors were stained with what looked like blood. I started walking down the hall, calling out for the doctor, but my voice was swallowed by the darkness. The only sound was the creaking of the old hospital and my own footsteps. I passed by room after room, each one filled with old hospital equipment and rusty medical tools. It was like walking through a graveyard of medical history. I was about to give up when I heard a faint noise coming from one of the rooms. It sounded like whispering. I approached the room, and the whispering got louder. I pushed open the door, and what I saw will haunt me for the rest of my life. The room was filled with old hospital beds, each one occupied by a patient. But these patients were not like any I had ever seen. They were all gaunt, with sunken eyes and skin that was gray and decaying. They were all staring at me, their eyes following my every move. And then I saw the doctor. He was standing at the far end of the room, a look of horror on his face. He was trying to say something, but his voice was barely audible. I tried to approach him, but my feet felt heavy, as if they were rooted to the spot. The patients started to whisper louder, their voices growing more urgent. And then I realized that they were not whispering. They were chanting. They were chanting my name. I tried to run, but it was too late. The doctor's eyes locked onto mine, and I saw my own name on his lips. I was the next patient. I woke up this morning in one of the hospital beds, surrounded by the same patients I had seen the night before. The doctor was standing over me, a look of concern on his face. "Welcome back," he said. "You've been with us for a while." I tried to scream, but my voice was hoarse and barely audible. The patients started to chant again, their voices growing louder. I realized that I was now a part of the forbidden floor, a patient in the hospital's darkest secret, and I know I'll never escape.